I used to think money was something you figured out later, something future, fuse. You would magically understand once you earned more, once you felt like an adult, once life slowed down enough to make sense. But what no one tells you in your 20s is that money isn't waiting for you to be ready. It's already shaping your life quietly, invisibly, through the habits you repeat, the choices you delay, and the assumptions you never question. If I could go back and speak to my younger self, I wouldn't start by talking about stocks or savings accounts or passive income. I'd start by saying this: money is not about numbers, it's about behavior. And behavior is driven by identity. Because in your 20s, you don't lose money because you don't earn enough. You lose it because you're still trying to prove who you are. Still trying to look successful instead of becoming stable. Still mistaking motion for progress and consumption for reward. And the most dangerous belief you can carry is that small money mistakes don't matter yet, because they compound just as aggressively as good decisions, except no one celebrates them, no one posts them, and no one warns you until years later when the gap between where you are and where you could have been feels impossible to close. The first thing I wish I understood is that earning more money doesn't fix broken financial habits. It amplifies them, because every raise I thought would finally make me feel safe just disappeared into a slightly nicer lifestyle, slightly better conveniences, slightly higher expectations, until my income grew but my anxiety stayed exactly the same. And that's when it hit me that money doesn't create freedom by itself. Margins do. The margin between what you earn and what you spend, the margin between impulse and intention, the margin between who you are trying to impress and who you are trying to build. No one explains that most people don't fail financially in one dramatic moment. They fail slowly by upgrading everything except their discipline. And I wish someone had told me that your 20s aren't for looking rich, they're for becoming unbreakable. Because the flashiest person in the room is usually the most fragile, living paycheck to paycheck, behind designer branding and weekend escapes. While the quiet person who drives the old car and skips the luxury apartment is buying back future time they don't even realize yet. And if you're in your 20s, the biggest advantage you have isn't energy or ambition or creativity, it's time. And time is the only asset you can't buy later, no matter how rich you become. Which is why compounding is so unfair and so powerful, because it rewards early consistency more than late intensity. And I used to believe I could catch up later once I made real money, without realizing that later always comes with responsibilities, obligations, families, health issues, and less mental bandwidth. And the truth is, saving in your 20s isn't about the amount. It's about training your future self to respect money, because the habit matters more than the balance. And I wish I understood that debt isn't just a financial tool, it's an emotional contract with your future time. Every dollar borrowed is a promise that future you will work for free to pay for past, use comfort. And when you're young, time feels infinite, so trading it away feels harmless, until suddenly years are locked into monthly payments you barely remember signing up for. And the most dangerous debt isn't student loans or credit cards, it's lifestyle debt, the invisible obligation to maintain a certain image, a certain standard, a certain version of yourself that no longer aligns with where you actually want to go. And I wish someone had told me that most financial stress isn't caused by lack of money, but by lack of alignment, spending money on lives you don't want to live, careers you don't believe in, and social expectations you never agreed to consciously. And one of the hardest lessons I learned too late is that budgeting isn't restrictive, it's revealing. Because when you track where your money actually goes, you're forced to confront who you're really prioritizing, your future or your impulses, your values or your validation. And the reason most people avoid budgets isn't math, it's honesty. Because numbers don't lie the way we do. And in your 20s, honesty with yourself is the most profitable skill you can develop. because money flows toward clarity and leaks through confusion. And I wish I knew earlier that being bad with money is rarely about intelligence. It's about emotional regulation, because impulse spending is usually a response to stress, boredom, insecurity, or comparison. And social media makes this infinitely worse by turning consumption into entertainment, making it feel normal to always want more, upgrade faster, and compare your behind the scenes to everyone else's highlight reel. And I didn't realize how much money I spent trying to feel something, excitement, confidence, belonging, instead of building something. And no one teaches you that delayed gratification isn't about deprivation, it's about choosing better dopamine. The slow satisfaction of progress over the fast hit of purchases that fade as quickly as they arrive. And I wish I knew that your income is less important than your skills, because jobs can disappear, companies can collapse, economies can shift, but skills compound across every industry. Every opportunity, every phase of life, and the best financial decision you can make in your 20s is to aggressively invest in skills that increase your earning power, not just your current paycheck. Because money follows leverage, and skills are leverage you carry forever. And I wasted too much time optimizing for comfort instead of capability. If this helped you, hit that like button so YouTube shows it to more people. Choosing easy paths instead of valuable ones, without realizing that discomfort early creates freedom later, and comfort early creates dependency. One of the most uncomfortable truths is that no one is coming to save you financially. Not your job, not the economy, not your parents, not the system. Once you accept that responsibility fully, money becomes less scary and more strategic. Because fear comes from avoidance, not awareness. And I wish I understood that investing isn't gambling when you think long-term. It's simply owning pieces of productive systems. And the real risk isn't volatility, it's inaction. Because inflation quietly erodes cash while you're busy waiting for the perfect time. Perfection is the enemy of progress in finance, just like everywhere else. And the earlier you start, the more mistakes you're allowed to make, because time smooths out errors. But waiting compresses risk, forcing you to be perfect when perfection is impossible. No one explains that your 20s are the best time to make small financial mistakes, because the cost is low and the lessons are permanent, but only if you're paying attention. And I wish someone told me that your environment matters more than motivation. Because it's hard to save when your friends normalize spending, hard to invest when your circle fears risk, and hard to grow when everyone around you is running the same financial script without questioning it. And that doesn't mean abandoning people. It means being intentional about influence. Because money habits are contagious, and so is financial anxiety. And one of the quietest but most powerful decisions you can make is to build distance between your spending and your emotions. To pause before purchases. To ask not, can I afford this, but does this move me closer to the life I actually want? Because affordability is short-term, alignment is long-term. And I didn't realize how often I confused affordability with permission, and permission with progress. And I wish I knew that wealth is built in boring moments, not big wins, not viral ideas, not sudden breakthroughs, but consistent actions, repeated long after the excitement fades. And boring doesn't sell, which is why no one talks about it. But boring is where freedom lives. And the most powerful money skill isn't picking stocks or starting businesses, it's patience, the ability to wait, to say no, to let time do the heavy lifting while everyone else rushes. And I wish I understood that comparison is the fastest way to financial self-sabotage, because there will always be someone earning more, traveling more, spending more, and you'll never see their full picture, only the curated parts. Chasing someone else's pace guarantees you'll never feel ahead, even when you are. And one of the most freeing realizations is that your financial journey doesn't need to look impressive to anyone but future. You, because future you is the one who pays the price for today's decisions. And I wish someone had explained that money amplifies who you already are. It doesn't change you. Which is why building discipline, self-control, and clarity before you earn big money is critical. Because otherwise, success just accelerates chaos. And I didn't realize that saying yes to everything financially is the fastest way to say no to the things that matter later. And that every dollar has a job whether you assign it one or not. And unassigned dollars tend to disappear without creating value. And I wish I knew that financial confidence doesn't come from having more money. It comes from knowing exactly where your money is, what it's doing, and why. Because clarity creates calm, and calm creates better decisions, and better decisions create momentum. And momentum is what eventually looks like luck from the outside. And the biggest lie I believed in my 20s was that I had plenty of time to fix things later. Because later isn't guaranteed, and energy isn't permanent, and priorities shift faster than you expect. And starting early isn't about fear, it's about respect. Respect for your future self, your future freedom, and your future options. And if I could compress everything I've learned about money into one sentence for my younger self, it would be this: stop trying to win money fast. And start trying to build a system you don't have to escape from. Because real wealth isn't about never working again, it's about never being forced to work against your values, your health, or your time. And the sooner you understand that, the sooner money stops controlling you. And starts quietly, steadily, working for you instead. Subscribe to my channel to catch next upload video.